Welcome back to the course on Chemical Reaction Engineering 1. Myself Neeti Mehta, Assistant Professor at Chemical Engineering Department, LJ Institute of Engineering and Technology. So, let's just start our today's session, which is overview of chemical reaction engineering, right? This is the first chapter of our CRE1 and we have already covered few topics of this chapter in our previous sessions. So now let us quickly start our today's session. So the first topic which we will be covering today is variables which are affecting rate of reaction, right? So which are the variables which can affect the rate of reaction? Basically, rate of reaction refers to how the reaction is taking place or what is the speed of reaction, right? How quickly the product is going to form. So that is basically rate of reaction. Now, what are various parameters or variables which are affecting the rate of reaction? So, whenever we are talking about homogeneous system, there are three major parameters or variables which can affect rate of reaction. The first one is temperature, right? So, as we all know that more the thermal energy is provided, movement of molecules or atom is much higher, and when they move with more energy or more randomly, the amount of product formed will be high. Just because when they are having more energy, they will move faster, and when they are going to move faster, the collisions between two molecules will be more random, and due to that the product formation is enhanced, right? So as the temperature is increased, the conversion of normal reaction is going to increase. The next is pressure. As we all know that in case of pressure, if you supply pressure, the moles will have lesser space, and due to that the amount of energy is increased. So more the pressure, more will be the energy in atoms and particles, and due to that the movement of those atoms and particles will be more random and more faster, which will again enhance the rate of reaction. Then there will be composition. So composition mainly deals with the reactant composition. What is the composition of reactant which we have selected, right? So depending on that, we need to select a reactant and then we'll proceed with the reaction. So these are some important variables which affect rate of reaction. Now, so what is basically reaction rate, right? This must be the question which should comes into our mind. So the reaction rate or rate of reaction is basically speed at which a chemical reaction takes place, right? At what speed or with what pace the product is being formed. That is known as rate of reaction. The reaction rate is basically defined as speed at which the reactants are converted into desired product, right? And this rate can vary dramatically because it purely depends on variables which we have selected, right? That is, what is the temperature provided for our reaction, what is composition, what is the pressure provided into the system, and so on. So purely depending on all the variables, the rate of reaction can change drastically. So one of the example of determining rate of reaction is rusting of iron, right? So if you can see in this picture, there is a rusting of iron. Basically, rusting of iron is low reaction rate, right? Or it is a slow reaction, right? Why? Because it takes quite long time for iron to get rusting. The next example is combustion reaction, right? So when we talk about combustion of woods, it is the fast reaction or it is highly fast reaction, because combustion of wood takes place in a quite high pace, right? So this is how we define rate of reaction. One is a slow reaction, another is highly fast reaction, or we can say it is a fast reaction. Now, how we can define a rate reaction, right? What are different techniques to represent the rate reaction? So, if the rate of reaction we need to determine or we need to represent, there are different techniques of writing rate of reaction, and all this technique is based on selection of our unit which we have selected, right? What is the base we have selected, depending on that, there are different techniques of representing the rate of any given reaction. So first, suppose if the rate of change in number of moles of component due to reaction is dNi by dt, N is my atom and I is my mole, right? So dNi by dt, that is change in number of moles of I molecule with respect to time. Again I am repeating, dNi by dt refers to change in number of moles of component I with respect to time. Then rate of reaction can be defined in various forms. The first one is based on unit volume of reacting fluid. Suppose we have taken reacting fluid as our volume, right? Unit volume of reacting fluid we have taken as base. So depending on that, if we want to represent our rate of reaction, then it can be written as Ri equals to 1 by V dNi by dt. See here the term V, right? This is unit volume of reacting fluid which we have taken as base for our given reaction. So when you want to use this as your base, then this reaction is used to represent rate of reaction. So it will be Ri, which is rate of reaction of component I is given by 1 by V dNi by dt, right? So this is, in numerator it is nothing but moles I which is formed, and in denominator moles of fluid with respect to into time. The next one is when we are considering unit mass of solid in fluid system as base, right? We are considering mass of solid in fluid solid system as base. So when we are considering this as our base, this will be the given rate of reaction. So Ri is given as 1 by W dNi by dt. So W is mass of solid which we are taking as our base, right? And W is nothing but mass of solid, right? So all the two terms, the rest two terms, that is moles of I formed and time remains same, but the base is changing, so this part of denominator is going to change. The next is reaction rate, the next is interfacial surface area in two fluid systems. So when we are talking about interfacial surface area, then basis is considered as surface area, and 1 by S, that is per unit surface area, is considered as our basis. So Ri double dash, which represent rate of reaction for interfacial surface area reactions, is given by 1 by S dNi by dt, where S represents the surface, right, or unit surface of solid in gas solid system. The next is based on unit volume of solid in gas solid system. So for that we need to consider unit volume of solid. As you can see here, we are considering volume of solid, right? So in denominator we will be replacing this term by volume of solid. So the term will be Ri triple dash, which is rate of reaction based on unit volume of gas solid system, is represented by 1 by Vs dNi by dt, and where V of S is nothing but volume of solid, right? Now the next is based on volume of reactor, that is unit volume of reactor. So instead of writing this, we will be writing VR, that is volume of reactor or unit volume of reactor. So based on unit volume of reactor, it will be in the form of 1 by VR dNi by dt, where VR is unit volume of reactor. Now, the rate equation, how we can represent the rate equation? So suppose we are having a single phase reaction where A moles of A component reacts with B moles of component B to give us the desired product of R moles of R and S moles of S. And if we want to represent this in the form of rate equation, then how we can use? So for that we will be using this equation, minus Ra equals to minus 1 by V dNa by dt. So what does the minus sign here represent? Minus sign represent the disappearance of reactant. When we are putting here the minus sign, that means your reactant is disappearing, right? So here as you can see, reactant is A. So minus Ra means rate of disappearance of A. That is with what rate the reactant are being consumed. That's why we have put here the minus sign, right? So this is minus. So minus is denoting you that this substance is reducing. Then again, minus 1 by V. V refers to volume and dNa by dt, and A refers to amount of A which is disappearing, that is moles of A which is disappearing. So this is how we represent a reaction and rate equation. And this is how you can write for all the components if you want to write, that is minus Ra by number of moles of A, which is A, is equivalent to minus Rb upon number of moles of B, which is equivalent to again R of R by R, that is rate of formation of product R upon moles of R which is formed, and it is again equals to rate of formation of product S upon moles of S, right? So this is the way of representing rate equation. Now coming to ideal reactors. So for ideal reactors, we are having three different ideal reactors. First one is batch reactor, second one is continuous stir tank reactor, and the third one is plug flow reactor. These three are considered as ideal reactor. So let's just start with the first one. As you can see here in the picture, this is the pictorial representation of ideal reactor, that is batch reactor. So what happened in case of a batch reactor? In case of a batch reactor, there is no flow into the reactor or no flow out from the reactor until the reaction is being completed. That is, batch reactor are those reactor in which we feed all the reactant at single time and then allow it to have some proper residence time to complete the reaction, and after completing the entire reaction, all the product is withdrawn at the same time, right? So there is no withdrawal or no introduction of any kind of product in between the reaction time. Once you just feed all the reactant, you close the reactor, you provide the stirring and you allow it to have that proper residence time which is needed for your given reactant to get converted into product, right? So this is basically like fill it, shut it. That means once you fill it, just close it for some proper given time which is residence time of any reaction, right? Reactant are basically dropped into this, and then once the product is being formed, the entire product is withdrawn at the same time after completion of entire reaction cycle. So this is ideal reactor and ideal batch reactor. As you can see in this picture also, that once we have put both the reactant green and purple one, and we are just allowing it to get proper stirring, and we have allowed it to get proper time and get converted into product. Once it is converted into product, you can see here the orange one is the product which is being formed. So once that is completed, then we'll withdraw entire product. The next one is CSTR, right? So CSTR is basically continuous stir tank reactor. That means we are continuously feeding the reactant inside the reactor and continuously we are withdrawing product from other end of the reactor. Along with this, stirring is continuous in this reactor, right? This is a continuous reactor. In this, you will get product throughout the process, right? Once you start this reactor, the product is continuous. You will continuously get product from this reactor, right? So this is basically a reactor. As you can see in this sketch diagram, reactant are fed from this side of the reactor and product is withdrawn from other side of the reactor. Additional to this, stirring is must, right? So reactant are fed continuously and product is withdrawn continuously. So the entire cycle is based on the residence time. So for that, we are manipulating the flow rate of reactant and product, right? This will run at steady state with continuous flow of reactant and product, and feed assumes a uniform composition. So for this, we are assuming that the feed is having uniform composition throughout, right? The next type of reactor is PFR, which is plug flow reactor, right? So this is just like a small pipe. Once you insert reactant from one side, product can be withdrawn from other end of the reactor only. There is no in-between exit stream possible, right? So PFR is basically plug flow reactor and it is also known as tubular reactor, right? In this reactor, what happened is there is one entry point for the reactant as you can see here, and the only one exit point is on the other side of the reactor. What happened in this reactor is at each and every point of the reactor, composition changes. Just because when reactant proceed from one point to other end of the reactor, it spend different time at different location of the reactor. And due to that, composition of reactant changes at each and every point of the reactor. So this is very effective reactor. The maximum conversion is possible in PFR, right? So this is all about today's session. Hope all the things which we have covered today is quite clear. Thank you.